Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Make sure you've smashed that like and share button. This is the Top 6 Bet Victor show. We're reviewing the Premier League weekend that has just gone by. We're going to be delving into a bit of a debate about Cristiano Ronaldo. Is he taking Manchester United forward, or is his presence as a footballer damaging the fluidity and style of Manchester United? And could he be a catalyst behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer losing his job? On top of that, we want to discuss and speak about Mo Salah. After an amazing goal yesterday against champions Manchester City, where does he rank in terms of Premier League supremacy? Is he a Premier League GOAT? Is he slowly surpassing Ryan Giggs? We're going to delve into all that while we're live, review some of the games from over the weekend, and of course, take direction from you. Get your comments in, your super chats. Make sure like buttons are being smashed. We've got an amazing panel tonight, an absolutely brilliant panel. A few regulars for you to introduce first. Man like Daniel sitting top of the league there, looking as happy as Larry, ready to go tonight, giving us his views and opinions. KJ joins us as well, of course, host of Midnight Vibes. He's ready to go today to have his say on all things Man United and Premier League. Jessica is back with us as well after seeing Arsenal undefeated in the last 4 games. Probably a lot happier in this international break than the one before. Also joined by one of the best wrestling journalists and biggest Liverpool fans in the world right now. It's man like Louis, a.k.a. Lulu, there with the Gerrard shirt up. And man like Kobe from Give Me Sport is here to give us his insight and knowledge into the game. Make sure you're smashing that like and share button before we move forward. This is the Top 6 show powered by Bet Victor. Let's do this. There we go. How are we all? We all good? You're all on mute, by the way. I muted all of you. So that's there we go. All good. We're all good. There we go. A bit of a new panel tonight. I quite like it. I like the new faces and everything else that's going on, which is good. Loads to delve into, though. We're going to get into some of the big debates a little bit later on during the show. I want to start off by speaking about the big game yesterday. And, of course, 2-2, a brilliant result for Chelsea, probably more than anybody else. They stayed top going into the international break. There were some contentious moments as well in that game. And I'd love to get Jess's view on this to start with. Were Liverpool lucky? Were they lucky to keep 11 men on the pitch in that game?
I mean, I think a little bit. I understand why people are up in arms about it. I think so. When you look at it, I think Milner probably should have been sent off, but were they, I guess they were kind of lucky, but at the same time, they did enough work to get the 2 goals. And I don't really enjoy talking about refereeing decisions when it comes to who should have won the game and who should have got the points and all of that. It was 2-2, 2 hard, like 2 teams, I guess the best teams in the country, if that's what you want to call them, and very, very good matchup. And I think the draw was good in terms of like the play that actually went down versus like this refereeing call. I just hate talking about refereeing because ultimately I think it was a pretty even game,
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. And Louis, from your point of view, as a Liverpool fan, did you feel that sort of sense of relief? I mean, Jurgen Klopp certainly did. He was subbed off within minutes of that foul taking place. Do you feel a little bit lucky and fortuitous, or is that just football?
Yeah, it was a red card. Yeah, he should have been sent off. The thing is though, normally like his first challenge was a red card, or was a yellow card. Sorry. So normally you get the 3, you get the warning, you get the second one, and then you get the first one. The first one was a yellow. But to be fair, if the first one's a yellow, the second one's 100% a yellow. If Bernardo Silva makes that challenge on Milner, I'm calling for a red card or a yellow card and a red card. So yeah, for me, if the shoe was on the other foot, I'd be up in arms saying, "Oh, you've got to send him off." So for me, it's only fair that I have the balance and say, yeah, it should have been a red card. But as Jess said, as a obviously not a neutral, but from a neutral's point of view, it would have killed the game. Like the Chelsea game when Reece James got sent off, like the first game was so fun, just frantic football. The second half was difficult because Chelsea went, and understandably so, and rightly so, a lot more defensive when Reece James got sent off. So I'm happy he stayed on the pitch, obviously, not only from a Liverpool point of view, but just from the game, it made the end so much more exciting than it actually would have been if Liverpool went down to 10 men.
I don't know what's more surprising. StreamYard letting the stream go up, or a Liverpool fan admitting that Milner should have been sent off. Because if you look at mainstream football, and obviously I've been working like over the course of the weekend, so I haven't even had enough time to like gather things. But the things I've been sent, Liverpool fans, especially Hussam, that brother is ruining a lot of people's minds out there, and I'll call him out for it because he's hellbent. His argument for that not being a red card is because over the years Fernandinho has got away with so much. What the hell does that have to do with the game yesterday? Like, it literally has nothing to do with it, and you know that he's in denial. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think Liverpool fans are some of the most, in terms of a cult, they know how to defend their own. And you know what? I hear that. Do you know what? It's a bit deluded sometimes, but look, you can only be as deluded as the guy you sit next to in the stadium. You defend your fans to the end of the earth. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you gotta know when to be like at a very, very neutral and very, very unbiased opinion. Had a defensive performance that Trent would be proud of.
Yeah. Do you know what was interesting about it is Hussam said something in the review show yesterday, which threw me. I was tongue-tied, really. I listened to it back and I was not happy with my own response. Where his defense on line with us was, well, we always moan that referees take center stage and become the main character. So I'm glad the referee didn't make himself the main character. It's like, no, he did by not doing the right thing. It's like, it's when they make mistakes, they become the main character. If you'd have sent him off, nobody in their right mind would, in their heart of hearts, would have gone bad decision by the referee. Like in that moment, I personally sort of shocked that he bottled it. He bottled it for me, but equally for Liverpool fans, like bask in the glory of winning when a mistake like that goes for you. That's part and parcel of football, and it's a rarity now with VAR that you get a dodgy decision that goes your way that enables you to win. I loved when we drew with Tottenham with the Mendes goal that crossed the line by about 6 foot. Do you know how much I laughed in my dad's face as a Spurs fan because we should have lost and we didn't? It's beautiful. Football's gone to this weird space now where people come up with this crazy mental gymnastics to try and defend the decision. Just accept it, but laugh at it. Like, that's the point. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just the changing of generations of football fan where my generation would just go, yeah, we didn't deserve it, but we got it. That makes it even sweeter.
I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I want all decisions to be correct. No, I want Liverpool to get every decision under the sun, even if it's right or wrong. And I want every rival to get the decisions against them, whether they're right or wrong. Like, it's just the way I want the football to be played because I'm a Liverpool fan. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here.
But then you just said you want it to, like, be – you're happy that you didn't get sent off for the sanctity of the game or the entertainment. For me personally –
I tell you what, being there, I was there, and I'm happy he didn't get sent off. But of course, like, I don't know, if the decision's on the other foot, I'll be throwing my arms up and being like, oh, it was more that I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, the decision was the right decision. No, I can happily say it was the wrong decision, but I can still be happy about it. That was basically my point. Like, I'm not going to be one who sits there and be like, no, it was a poor refereeing decision. I want referees to be held by a higher standard. No, like, if the decision is good for Liverpool, I'm pretty happy.
And that is absolutely fair. I mean, the game itself was scintillating. And as a neutral, a player being sent off kind of ruins it. But I am really neutral when it's City Liverpool. I have an agenda, and I want Liverpool to lose every game they ever play in. There's no doubt. So I wanted to see that happen. But it was a very good game. And there was one standout individual again in this match. He's just proving, I will say Mo Salah is proving so many people wrong week in, week out. There's kind of no doubt about that whatsoever when it comes to him. And with Mo Salah now performing at such a consistent level for the past 4 to 5 years, from your point of view, KJ, like where does Mo Salah stack up at the moment in terms of best player in the league right through to his kind of status in the Premier League overall?
Well, right now, currently, he is the best player in the league. Consistency is key. He has literally been Liverpool's best player, and he's been scoring or assisting nearly like every week. So from that there, he has been the best player in the Premier League. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not been. But in terms of surpassing Ryan Giggs, I just think, unfortunately for him, he's just coming to a time where he hasn't got enough time to surpass him. Like Ryan Giggs played football from such a young age, all the way up to the age of around 40. He won so many Premier Leagues. He won Champions League. He's won FA Cups, Carling Cups. He's won almost everything there is to win in football. It'd be very, very hard for me to sit here and say, just because Mo Salah has been consistent for 5 years, that he can now go and surpass Giggs, who has got a larger body of work and also defined generations as a world-class player. So for me, I don't think Mo Salah would ever do that just because Ryan Giggs' body of work is just too much.
Yeah, I hear you. When we have a super chat, here that says apparently Salah cannot be better than Hazard because he can't beat a man. What else will they say now? I've always felt just on that point about Salah. When people talk about Salah not being a good dribbler, it's like I was watching on Sky last night all of his goals in the Premier League. That goal he scored yesterday, I think is the 5th or 6th time he scored a goal almost identical to it in the Premier League. I remember Ginola scoring a very good dribbling. I've seen lots of good dribblers score good dribbling goals, but not as many as Mo Salah. Like it's another ridiculous take. But Dan, you were going to say something there about the Ryan Giggs thing, because as a talking point, I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans speaking about today. We put a tweet out, and a lot of Liverpool fans have responded to my tweet saying he's already surpassed Ryan Giggs. The numbers don't lie. He's already done better than Ryan Giggs as a wide player.
I think that's my issue though. Like, what are we actually saying? What does surpass mean? Because if we're talking about who's a better player, I think Salah is the better player. I mean, we're talking about someone who we're considering to be, yeah, I do, because we're talking about someone who we're saying could be the best player in the world right now on form. Like, Giggs was never in that conversation. Giggs was a top quality player. Look, I'm not even trying to disrespect Giggs. I watched Giggs as well, his early years and his latter years. So there's no disrespect to Giggs at all. But I think what you need to remember is it depends on what we're talking about with surpassing. If we're talking about legacy and whatnot, what Giggs did for the Premier League, of course, it's difficult to surpass. That means no one will ever surpass Giggs, because I don't think anyone will ever be able to play as long as Giggs did. But I don't think longevity is enough of an argument to almost then say that no one else can do it. Game done, game set and match. I think when we're talking about a player like Salah, when we're talking about a player like Salah, let's just assume now this isn't the last year he plays with Liverpool. We can assume that he will still play to this level next year. I'm just making that assumption. Of course, it's a tough one to make, but that will be like 6-7 years of double-digit numbers again. I think he only has one season where he didn't score 20 goals in all comps for one. And then you look at the fact that who can take a team and get them a goal in a clutch moment, who can do something out of nothing. I think what you need to remember with Giggs is a lot of the qualities and a lot of the arguments that people put in Giggs as well, that fights his corner, is that he was able to change his game and adapt his game. But what we need to remember, again, when we're talking about better players, that's how I like to see things. Who was better at their peak? I don't think Giggs reached this level where Salah is on now, to the level where we're saying that he's as good as Messi and Ronaldo. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I understand that, but like you're asking Ryan Giggs to score 20 goals a season, when that was not his job in the team. His job in the team wasn't to do what Mo Salah was doing. He wasn't an inside forward. He was. You've been talking for a little bit now. Let me finish my point,
because it's going to be so relevant.
Yeah. If it's not relevant, man, I want to kick you out of the stream, bro. Like, please.
Yeah, you can. You might as well. Just be careful. Tread carefully when you say it wasn't his job in the team, because when Hazard gets mentioned, I will school you on that as well. Just be careful.
But go on, KJ.
But again, how is that relevant?
Because I know what Man United fans think.
Yeah, but I'm not here to be arguing about Hazard or Salah. I'm here about Giggs and Salah, bro.
Yeah, go on.
Giggs, his role in the team wasn't to be an inside forward. It wasn't to be the guy to make the clutch moments every single week. He was the guy to help facilitate, provide, run down the week, put the ball in, and he did that. He did that time and time again. Consistently, he was one of the best players in the Premier League when he was in his peak. No one can say that he wasn't, because he's part of the teams that got the Premier League time and time again. Like, for me, I think Giggs is very disrespected, personally.
Yeah, I guess for me, I'm trying to figure this out. So if we can't compare them really because they had different roles in the team, which essentially is saying that they have different types of positions, and why are we even comparing them? Then you should be comparing maybe Salah to strikers if that's his actual job, because really he's their striker, isn't he?
But
so we should be comparing them.
But maybe that is the point. I think the conversation is there. I suppose one of the questions I would ask, and I want to go to Kobe with this, is it fair to compare left wingers or left midfielders and right midfielders from the 90s and early noughties with inside forwards of the modern day game? And that's a question that I think is worth posing to Kobe.
I think that's where the context is so important, in that the role of wingers has changed so much. I mean, with Giggs, it's more about creativity. I think Salah's sort of got about 37 assists in the Premier League, and Giggs has got about 162. Although Salah's obviously played far fewer games, even if he keeps that rate up, he's probably not going to surpass Giggs. So it's almost like, in a way, and it's not a direct comparison, of course it's not, but it's almost like you need to compare Salah's goals more with Giggs' assists, because Giggs' highest goal scoring season in the Premier League was 11, whereas Salah's lowest is 19. And if you looked at that out of context, you think, who on earth is this Ryan Giggs player? He's terrible. But that's not the case. We know that's not the case. So almost that big gap doesn't necessarily show us that Salah's 10 times the better player, but actually probably shows exactly why we should compare his goals and their assists, and just really shows how different their roles were. So yes, you can compare them, but you shouldn't necessarily use the same things to compare them with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of hear that. And I think that's sort of my view on it. And it's not about trying to protect Ryan Giggs. If you actually look throughout the whole of the 90s and noughties, the Giggs and the Pires era as wingers, no wingers were doing that. And there's a very interesting chapter in Gary Neville's book called Red, where he speaks about how he watched firsthand Cristiano Ronaldo change the position of a winger into an inside forward, the way he started scoring goals. He was just doing different things, and everybody has cottoned on since then. If Ronaldo hadn't have created this role almost for himself, along with his coaching staff saying, well, what if I try this? What if I try that? It may not exist in the way in which that it does now. There were not inside forwards in the same way as there are now pretty much everywhere. No one plays as a winger in that regard. But it's interesting as well, though, what I would say about this is that, are we now saying that someone's peak surpasses somebody's consistency and longevity? Because if that's the case, then certain GOAT conversations need to be revisited, because we've had players like Ronaldo, whose peak in the Premier League was the best we've ever seen, Ballon d'Or winner. So that means he surpasses people that have done more on a consistent basis, if a peak means more than longevity and consistency. So I think that's where I would say I would defend Ryan Giggs as a footballer, is if we're going to say peaks, if Salah gets put in front of Giggs because his peak is better, then we have to use that exact same logic when we're doing any other player debate. So if you have a player this season who scores 50 Premier League goals, wins the Premier League and the Ballon d'Or, then you can argue he's the greatest ever Premier League football player because he's peak. Well, that's not. It's exactly the same thing. You can then argue that peak is better than anybody else's consistency because no one else has done it. And I would just want to ask for consistency when looking at it. I look at Mo Salah as someone that's moving towards the GOAT conversation, but I still think that's 4 or 5 years premature, because when you think about the people we consider Premier League GOATs and the greatest, you're looking at all of them have done an 8+ years of consistently performing at the world-class level. It's why I felt it was very disrespectful to start using Van Dijk's name next to John Terry's, Tony Adams, Sol Campbell's, Rio Ferdinand's, who performed at his level. And obviously defending was very different 20 years ago to it is now. So it's how we do it with goalkeepers. With goalkeepers, we don't say that. Do you know what? Petr Cech and David Seaman were actually crap goalkeepers because they can't use their feet like modern day goalkeepers. But yet we want to do it to Ryan Giggs when the wing position has changed. I just want consistency from fans, because based on that logic again of roles changing, Petr Cech wasn't a good goalkeeper because he couldn't use his feet. So would you undo all of Petr Cech's achievements because he doesn't have the passing range of an Alisson or an Edison or a Mendy now?
No.
I don't think you would.
No, we're not saying that.
What are you saying then?
I'm not saying that. I think where you're getting confused with where I stand on it is, obviously it's a bit like what Kobe said in terms of what are we actually debating? What are we arguing? Like, what is the criteria for a great player, their peak, who has the better legacy? These are all different nuances that we need to actually define what we're saying. For example, look, you can say that Giggs was consistently great. I beg to differ. I think Giggs was great because of his longevity, but it was patchy. There were times he would have 2 very good seasons, but then he would have 1 bad season. Like there were moments, like check it, you can go through it again. Like there were times he would put together 2 nice top quality seasons. Obviously, you'd have to watch a lot of the games because Giggs could impact games without scoring or assisting. But then he would also then go a season where he was non-existent. I remember, I can't remember what season it was. I think it was the best. He had the best goal scoring season. I think that 13-goal season, where he was quality, probably the best winger in the world. The season after, I think he played about 30 games and scored 1 goal. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, he was also voted though. Again, I'm not trying to be ageist here, but due to the age of yourself being 25, you didn't watch him in the early 90s. What year were you born? What year were you born? Like what year were you born? I'm not
saying that on the stream.
I'm going to hazard a guess that you were barely born when he won the treble. And if you look at and that was when he was in his like mid-20s. So I kind of feel like it's. Yes, as he got older, his quality dipped. It's interesting as well. There's a comment here. I think it's very relevant to the conversation. It says, in Giggs' day, there was a top 2. In Salah's day, you have a top 6. The league is more competitive now. Salah hands down. Be very careful with that logic. And I heard a lot of people say that to me yesterday, that the league is harder now. So if the league is harder now, and Mo Salah achieves what he does, it means he surpasses the Premier League goats like Henry because they were in the top 2 era. So be very careful when you put out these theories to elevate Mo Salah massively above Giggs. It means you're saying what Thierry Henry achieved is worth less now than it was then. Are we all willing to agree with that? I know the answer is going to be no, but I get a little confused by the disrespect personally. But
I think that's why it's difficult to do these because one, we don't have Salah's like full CV yet because he hasn't finished his career. So it's hard to compare somebody mid-career to somebody who had a very, very long one. And then the game changes. And just like you guys said, if positions change, it's very difficult to pin one up against another. Like, I feel like this argument is almost so much, it's almost like you have to just kind of throw it away because roles were different. And one had an extremely long career. And the other one, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we don't even know how long Salah is going to be at Liverpool. We don't know how things will change. He's 29 now. He would have to be one of those types of players that does like a Zlatan or something like that. And, be good for the next 7-8 years too. So I think it's a weird one, but things change so much that it's hard to really pin it down. And it feels almost
and one player started off his youth very, very explosively. He was very explosive. The other player had to leave the Premier League for a few years and come back. So Daniel's talking about patchy forms and Daniel's talking about those times where Ryan Giggs wasn't that good. But Mo Salah came to Chelsea and was not good. But now we automatically just erase that, like he never played in the Premier League, and just focus on his time in Chelsea at Liverpool. If we're talking about Premier League, if we're talking about Premier League legacy, you have to look at every single time that player was in the Premier League. And Mo Salah at Chelsea was not great and had to go to Italy to get better. Because why did he not stay at Chelsea?
Okay, KJ. I get it.
Louis, I'm in your corner. He played 13 games for Chelsea, by the way.
But he hardly played for Chelsea. And whenever I've used stats to back up my Salah point, I have used his Chelsea stats, which are just important. They were a part of his Premier League. But I think if you ask any Chelsea fan, and he comes in the same conversation as your De Bruyne, as your Lukaku, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, when you see Salah play, when you see De Bruyne play, there's a part of you not be like, not almost we failed them, but like there was something there that it's
De Bruyne, not Salah, De Bruyne.
Really?
So even your point is to slow down because the same Chelsea fans saying that it doesn't.
I can never claim Salah. I can never claim Salah because we literally bought him because he balled out against us and then decided not to play him. So, like, Salah was never really a Chelsea player. Like, he played 13
but he was, though, because he signed for Chelsea.
So based on that logic, like, Wilfried Zaha is not considered a Man United flop then?
He's actually not. Like, because, think about it. He didn't get sold because of his performances. He got sold because the manager that bought him left.
But at the same time, like he obviously didn't do enough in training to get into the first team. Like, but listen, guys, we can. It's an interest. Yeah, okay, but we don't know half the things we say as fans. That means literally most of our opinions have got to stop because we don't know half the things we talk about. Like, it's a madness, bro. No, of course, Daniel does.
I'm joking.
I hear you, bro. Listen, of course, we are powered by Bet Victor on the Football Terrace, and I wanted to put this up on the screen now because I want to share this. We are talking Mo Salah. We know that Mo Salah is having a really, really good season as it stands right now. He's absolutely killing it. These are the latest odds with Bet Victor. The link is inside the description below. So go and sign up now for your account. If you bet £5 when you first open the account, you get a £30 free bet. If you also check out their loyalty page, there's lots of offers for existing users as well. So keep supporting the Football Terrace. And, of course, always gamble responsibly. But Mo Salah is still not favourite to be player of the season with Bet Victor. He's there at 6-1 as it stands right now. Cristiano Ronaldo in at 4-1. We are talking Cristiano Ronaldo very soon. Bruno at 8-1 there, as you can see. Man like Big 4-4, no safety. Lukaku 8-1. From your point of view, Kobe, do you think who do you think is tracking towards being the player of the season as it stands right now?
For me, it's definitely Salah. As it stands, I think his output already has been absolutely incredible. I think his all-round performance has been improving as well. I think over the last few years, you'd hear so many Liverpool fans actually sort of criticise him quite a lot, even when he was scoring 20 goals a season, and actually saying that, you know, they'd be more gutted if Sadio Mane left, Fabinho left, or whatever. You know, he actually got a bit of a hard rep. But I think it speaks volumes that a lot of these Liverpool fans who watch every single minute of his football really praising his creativity, his passing, his defensive work as well. So I don't think it's just the top line stats. I think he's got 6 goals already. I think his all-round game is really reminiscent of 2017-18 when he was competing for the Ballon d'Or. So I think it's got to be him. It's the boring answer, but he's tracking for an incredible year.
Yeah, he really is. And on that, I mean, I'm just going to put a little flutter on it now myself, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I'm going to stick a little £2 bet on Mo Salah to go and win it at 6-1, because I think those odds are going to start to shrink very, very soon indeed. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. So that's my bet placed as it stands right now. You can go and do the same thing. If you're a Liverpool fan, you fancy a little bit of a responsible flutter, 6-1 on Mohamed Salah to be the Premier League or the PFA Player of the Year. That is PFA Player of the Year, not Premier League Player of the Year. So you have to differentiate between those two things. A super chat here says it's way too early to compare Salah to some Premier League greats. I'm just happy Salah is finally starting to get the respect that he deserves. I do
have a comment on this.
And yeah, go on, mate.
I get it. I get the argument of the longevity thing, but you look at what Salah has achieved while he's been in the league. I think that makes it even more impressive. And yes, I'm going to be biased here. I'm going to put that out there because it'd be weird for me not to be biased. But you look at what Salah's achieved in the league and the records he's broken over some of these greats. I wouldn't say the short time he's been in the league, but the fact compared to these greats, he hasn't been in the league as longer. For me, that makes it almost even more impressive. Obviously, and I think when you look at longevity and you look at consistency and you look at impact, you have to compare all three and judge them together. Like when I look at Giggs, his longevity has to have an impact. So I think you've got to look at it from all points of view, considering all context. But for me, like the whole argument, you can't compare Salah's. Like if you look at his CV, for example, I think the records he's broken and what he's achieved is almost more impressive considering how he hasn't been in the league for as long as a lot of these people have been.
But the question is, are those records, do they hold more weight than 13 Premier League titles?
It's difficult, and it is very difficult to compare. And it depends what you mean. Like, for example, I wouldn't say a player is a better player because they've won more Premier Leagues.
Yeah, that's true.
Would I say they have a better legacy? For sure. And I'm not going to sit here for one moment and say Salah's got a better Premier League legacy than Giggs because, as you say, the Premier League titles.
Yeah. I think where these conversations kind of spiral a little bit is that you'll have, again, when it comes to... So I saw it. Who we talking like the other when we were debating young players, like when it was like when the arguments around Trent and Reece James and AWB started. One of the biggest things Liverpool fans did was show pictures of Trent holding the Champions League. Well, until he's got a Champions League, he can't talk. And then it goes on. Then you have a conversation where Giggs comes in. It's like, we can't take all those trophies into consideration. We have to look at other things. I just think it's about the consistency. Like I'm really not fussed whether we go by their peak or we go by their longevity. I just don't think it can change depending on who we're speaking about. If it's on their peak, then we know the GOAT is Cristiano Ronaldo, because no one's done what he has done in the Premier League in terms of records from that position, what they won in that same season, and then winning a Ballon d'Or. And of course, becoming the most famous football player to ever live. So you've got legacy, you've got records, you've got individual achievements, you've got individual awards, you've got trophies, and then you have the most important thing to Daniel and Jess, which is and KJ, which is that trend-setting element. Do you know what I mean? Like, where you actually have, they always said it, like, I went to school wearing gloves because of Henry. That's why he's the GOAT.
No, Daniel said that, bro. I wore gloves because I was flipping cold, fam. And I was saying,
I'm just saying. So it's only a bit of a joke, but the point is, like, it's always gonna. It's why these debates are so fun and interesting, because for me, it's watching everybody change their opinion from last week to try and get their favorite player into a box. It's a beautiful thing. We're going to move on next to talk Cristiano Ronaldo. Is he damaging Manchester United? Is he elevating them forward? Make sure you smash that like and share button, ladies and gentlemen. Get your super chat questions in as well. Sorry, I did miss a super chat earlier. Sorry, from Danny. Someone just pointed it out to me. Thank you, Danny, for your wonderful £10 donation. He says Milner was rightfully not sent off. He says the ref brought it back for the initial foul by Henderson a second before. If Henderson hadn't fouled Milner, he would have sent him off.
I did see this.
The panel.
I did see this. So basically, like Milner, like, there's people. I think it's people just trying to excuse it, but people try and say that Henderson fouled Bernardo Silva, and that's what the referee blew the foul for, as opposed to James Milner. For me, I just think that's people trying to find an excuse to excuse the referees. Admittedly, very poor.
Yeah, well, the free kick was taken 3 yards too far forward. That's all I'm going to say on that one. But there we go. Thank you, Adrian. Comment here from Lamar says, Sarah won Premier League. I don't know who. Oh, Salah won Premier League, won Champions League, no World 11, no UEFA Team of the Year, never won the Premier League Player of the Season, never made a World Cup 11. We need to pump the brakes, is what Lamar said. Interestingly, we mentioned Hussim earlier. Hussim's biggest thing about Gerrard being in a different ballpark to. You were sitting on that stream, Louis, was the personal awards that Gerrard had won in comparison. But Giggs' personal awards in comparison to Salah, again, surpassing. But Hussim has said that Mo Salah has already surpassed Ryan Giggs based on stats. I mean, that's what I love. I love it. I love this game.
A few of the things on there, like, I don't know how you can include World Cup 11 when the guy plays for Egypt.
World 11.
Okay. World 11. I mean, I mean, the fact he didn't win the PFA, like the Premier League Player of the Year in 17-18, I think highlights a flaw with the Premier League Player of the Year. He won the PFA one. I thought he won the Premier League.
He's got that. Yeah, he's got that. He's got two.
I was just taking that to be true. I assume.
I don't personally take those kind of awards overtly seriously because they're a bit of a joke, to be honest. So I don't know who wins it year on year because I think they're pointless, to be honest with you. But just like the X Factor, they're never the best. Very rarely the best singer wins it. Do you know what I mean? It just is what it is. Basically, all those awards are like Big Brother, innit? Voting for who you like the most, as opposed to who the best player is. Do you know what I mean? There's once upon a time a certain team did a treble, and the Spurs player won Player of the Year. Mad. Listen, we're going on to the Ronaldo conversation now. Smash that like and share button. Let's go. Is Ronaldo hurting Man United, Kobe? What's your thoughts on that, mate? Is he damaging Man United?
Not in terms of on the pitch and, you know, tactics and the way he interacts with his teammates. I don't really buy into that. I think in general Ronaldo's interplay is incredibly underrated. One way in which Ronaldo is potentially damaging Man United, that it's not his fault at all, is that the arrival of Ronaldo has suddenly really brought this time pressure on United and this real sort of need and pressure for short-term success that in many ways is a little bit incongruous with the sort of long-term project that Man United have been working on at the moment. I would imagine, although it's hard to be certain, that signing Ronaldo was never in the plan. Not that it's a bad thing that it's happened, but it really has thrown a spanner in the works. And suddenly a lot of Man United fans are like, we need to win the Premier League this season. We need to win the Premier League season. And there's a lot of added pressure. And I believe that has fueled sort of a lot of the oleout conversation. There'll still be criticism for him anyway. I'm not saying anything else. At the end of the day, you've signed a 36-year-old on a 2-year contract who is one of the best players in the world and one of the greatest players ever. So damaging perhaps in a way that it's, more eyes are on Man United, more of a spotlight, more criticism and more time pressure. But on the pitch, no, absolutely not. He's going to get you goals at the end of the day. Again, sort of, the clip of Cavani working harder than him, whatever. Bruno Fernandes really works hard. A lot of the players work hard around him. He's someone you build your system around, not the other way around. You don't force him to change for you. But yeah, it does bring its complications with it as well.
What's your take on this, Jess? Do you think that Ronaldo has been detrimental to Man United?
Yeah, I mean, he screwed up the entire system, and that's pretty obvious. No, I'm just joking. Don't come get me. I know you were like, what? No, I think in the end of the day, like, he's not dragging you guys backwards. It's just making it more obvious that it's not about the players. You guys got Sancho, you got Varane, you got Cristiano Ronaldo. So it's not really about missing. It's not even about missing a midfielder at this point. It's just shining a light on Ollie, and anybody who is looking at Ollie as somebody that could keep you going a little bit further. It just expedited that. Like, it made it so much more clear. And the good thing about having Ronaldo now is that when you get in those situations like you did against Villarreal in the Europa League final, you have somebody that can bail you out. But it's still not good enough because you shouldn't be getting bailed out with the group of players that you have. So he helps you in that regard. And it just makes it more clear that the guy's got to go, quicker than probably people want him to go. But at the same time, like, if you had not gotten Ronaldo, I don't think there would be that pressure to win the Premier League now. And you probably are like a year or so away from that. Sancho still has to get bedded in. You still have to figure out what you guys are doing in midfield. So I do kind of agree. Like, it's just expediting things and shining a light on Ollie and expediting everything forward. And so everything just seems like so crazy, but he helps bail Ollie out at the same time. So it's like that never ending circle, isn't it?
Yeah,
KJ,
I agree.
Yeah. From your point of view, KJ, like, how do you view it as a Man United fan?
I don't think Ronaldo is hurting Man United in the way that Kobe is saying in terms of the time pressure thing. I feel like it's hurting Ollie with the time pressure. I believe you can still have a long-term plan and still go after short-term goals, which is winning the Premier League, winning Champions League. Like, that is a possible thing to do. That is down to the manager to be able to fulfill that at the same time. It's just put pressure on Ollie now to fulfill the short-term goal of now you've got what it takes to win a Champions League or a Premier League. And for me, he's just buckling under the pressure. Ronaldo is a player that you bring in and you do have to make adjustments to the way you want to play to fit him in. Now, if that's right or wrong, that's by the by, but that's what it is. You know what I mean? Ollie's just showing that he's struggling to do that right now.
Joe, I completely agree in that the time pressure thing that I'm talking about, the person that affects the most is absolutely Solskjaer. I think you make a very good point there. I think where I worry a little bit is that I personally don't think that United have a good enough team currently to win the Premier League. And I think that ultimately comes down to, I don't think that central midfield area is good enough. So I personally don't think actually of the available managers that, and I'm not saying that Solskjaer is the right person in the long term. I think my gut is that they need somebody else to finish the roadmap that they're on with Solskjaer. But I think if you airdropped in Zidane or Conte or Joe Bloggs, whoever, right now, I don't think they win the Premier League or Champions League with Manchester United this season.
There's potential there. I think they potentially could. It depends how fast they adapt their plans to the players and how the players take to it. Like I said something earlier in the season, is if Ollie gets sacked early on in the season for whatever reason, I could see Manchester United winning the Premier League, and that might happen. So technically, if Ollie gets sacked and Man United bring in a better manager and we go forward to do better things, Ronaldo actually would have been the best thing that happened to Manchester United because he's helped us highlight an issue and get it.
I kind of disagree with that. Like, no, I disagree with that. That the whole thing that like a new manager, like, don't get it twisted. This team is not. I mean, you look at the way Tuchel came in with Chelsea, and I don't think. I mean, Chelsea, that was pre-Lukaku playing with Werner and Havertz up front, which isn't really the most optimal goal scoring situation that you could have, he was able to come in and get that team to win a Champions League. That's not the same as the Premier League, obviously, but I look at Manchester United's team and I think, yeah, a new manager could come in, and then you also get a new manager bounce, which maybe those players really need. I don't think that they're sitting in the locker room thinking like, oh, Ollie's doing the best job and all this. They're probably thinking that, but at the same time, they may have the back in their mind that he's taken us as far as we can go, and I think as a player, you probably would relish having a new manager in there. You get that little bit of a bounce and see what you could do. I think that team that Manchester United has can at the very least win a trophy if they remove the manager, period.
I think what's really interesting about it, and I've got some super chats I'm going to go to very, very soon, people, so don't think I've missed them. It's just in flow of conversation. Ronaldo's getting a little bit of what I call the Zlatan treatment. And I tweeted that the other day. And again, a lot of detractors of Man United said, yeah, he's a lot like that bad signing of Zlatan. I'm like, no, you really misunderstood. Zlatan came in and scored 27 goals, but we didn't progress in the league that season. And it was like, oh, we're too slow. He slows the play down. He's too old. This was in a little time period where Man United fans had this obsession with everyone over the age of 28 is not worth signing. If they're not electric with pace, they're not worth signing. Very FIFA-orientated football analysis. And Ronaldo's come in, and it's like the superstar players come in. He's scoring goals for us, but we're not playing the football that we want. So we're going to blame Ronaldo. He's ruining fluidity. He's ruining the system. And I know Jess pulled on this as a bit of a joke, but these same very people making these claims have said we don't have a system and we're just freestyle football. If there's no system and it's just freestyle football, Ronaldo can't damage anything. It's just go out there and do whatever you want. So are these fans now admitting they lied there was no system? Are they just being negative because it's always popular to be negative about everything surrounding Manchester United? I'm unsure. For me, I definitely think you miss Cavani when he's not in the team because he does have a different type of approach to football compared to Cristiano Ronaldo, the way he tracks, the way he runs after the ball. But I've also seen us lose games, i.e. the Europa League final with Cavani in the team. We're acting like before Ronaldo arrived, we were challenging for the Premier League and he's taken us backwards. What's going on now at Man United has been going on since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. The way we've dropped points this season under Ollie has happened throughout Ollie's entire time at the club, where we're losing points against smaller, and I mean this with respect, lesser sides. And it is unacceptable. It's become unacceptable, though, because it isn't just about Ronaldo. When you add Sancho, Varane, and Ronaldo to a squad that already had the players we've got, you keep hold of your Pogbas, etc. A team that we've got a plethora of talent, especially in the attacking ranks. There are no excuses to be outgunned or outperformed or outplayed by teams that spend a fraction on players as we do. I think people are looking for excuses for Ollie. I saw articles today, there isn't really a candidate out there that can replace Ollie. Still got to give Ollie more time to embed these new players into his team. I'm thinking it doesn't, for me, the excuses for Ollie have got to stop. He needs to get this team to deliver. Acting like signing world-class players is making it harder for Ollie. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense, in my opinion. Now, of course, there's going to be elements, but it's down to Ollie to get the balance right. It's down to Ollie to go, he brought on Cavani with Ronaldo against Villarreal, and we improved in that last period of the game, and we went on to get an equaliser. It's what he should have done on Saturday. It's an Ollie mistake. Bring Ronaldo on, but you leave Cavani on the pitch. You get the second goal. Maybe then you take Cavani off to rest him. But we started the game with Ronaldo and Pogba as an example on the bench. There's no football. We were resting our star players so they're fresh for their country. What are we doing? Like, what are we resting them for? Like it's for me. It's being taken. The focus seems to be getting taken away from Ollie here and put upon Ronaldo's head. Like Ronaldo is the issue. Now, of course, anyone who hates Man United or is a Messi fanboy is going to jump on this like a bitch in heat. And I'm talking about dogs. Don't hate on me for that. They're going to jump on it. They're going to be all over it. But I think it's an exaggeration. I think it's just almost, again, mental gymnastics looking for a reason. We're talking like we were playing brilliant football and winning all these games before Ronaldo. It's the buck stops with one person for me, and it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He doesn't know how to manage the expectation that is now in front of him. The expectation to win now is arrived, and Ollie's drowning. He's absolutely drowning.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest. I think Your biggest issue isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You got three far bigger issues than that. The fact you don't have a defensive midfielder, the fact your recruitment is shocking, and the fact that your owners are abysmal as well. For me, I think Ronaldo. Listen, he's a great signing. You don't turn Ronaldo down. But part of the reason I love, and I'm going to turn it to Liverpool's recruitment, is if we got offered the opportunity to re-sign a Luis Suarez, probably wouldn't do it. I like the fact that, listen, Ronaldo's going to get you goals, but if you spent all the money that you spent on Ronaldo and Donny van de Beek, who doesn't play, and put that on a DM, you'd be in a significantly better position than you are now. If a little bit of planning, you said, right, we're not going to buy Donny van de Beek, and you know what, Ronaldo, he is Ronaldo, but we're going to put all of that money into Ndidi, I think you would have a much better go at the title than you will this season. I think Man United fans, I almost don't feel bad for you because you put the pressure on yourself when Ronaldo joined saying we're going to challenge for the league. Realistically, if you looked at Man United's squad, and not even the squad, the first 11, the holes in the first 11 are so apparent in that midfield position.
Was it interesting you say that, because when I'm pretty sure, Terry, you were here for this as well, when people had discussions about Manchester United, and some Man United fans like myself were a bit hesitant to say we can go and fully win the Premier League by being the best team in the league, or we can go and win the Champions League. We got told, well, no, you have to believe because you've got Ronaldo, you've got Sancho, you've got Varane, you've got all these things, but now you're telling me, no. Now Luce is telling me that Man United fans weren't doing that, and we put pressure on ourselves to win things when we shouldn't do so. So which one are we doing? Because I think
more Man United fans, and I've got to be honest, I don't want to call him out. I think Terry was one of them. That maybe he said it in jest. That said Man United were going to win the Premier League.
Yeah, Terry did say that. But the thing is, Terry did say that. But you're telling me that Manchester United Football Club, the fans, with the transfer window we had, we shouldn't be demanding the Premier League.
KJ, you don't have a DM.
You don't have to have a DM. You don't have to have a DM.
Guys, sorry everyone, one at a time. Daniel, what were you saying, mate?
I'm saying KJ's not allowed to bandwagon on that. What Louis is saying is separate because he's probably talking about United fans that he's encountered. I can come and say, KJ, you can't say that because your reason for saying or being hesitant as to why United can win the league was because you felt that Ole wasn't a good enough manager. It was me and other people that were saying you can't say that because you now have the squad, so the playing players, so the people on the pitch that actually put the ball in the goal to have a squad that's capable of winning the league. So you then can't say that fans were when we were hesitant. That wasn't one of your arguments. Your only argument for not being capable of winning the league was because you have Ole. Hence why Terry, with his chest, came out and said, with the most creative teenager in the history of football and Champions League Varane, as well as the best striker or the GOAT of all GOATs, like GOAT, Ronaldo is there. So let's not change what we were saying and bandwagon on.
Wait, what are you talking about? Daniel, what are you talking about? Luce just said Man United, the Man fans said he's seen were putting too much pressure on Manchester United to succeed. I asked the question, Manchester United, with the transfer window we had, shouldn't we not put any pressure on us to win?
No.
Because when I wasn't doing it, I got told I should have been doing it. That's what he said.
Because I would have been on a stream with you when you said that. I would have 100% agreed with you because you look at Man United's team. Yes,
you don't.
Wait 1 second, guys. Let me just take control of this again. So what I'm hearing here is, like, you got Chelsea fan Daniel angry that Man United fans shouldn't have pressure on them to win the league, and Liverpool fan Louis saying, you're saying should win the league. Sorry. You're saying that Louis saying United shouldn't have had any expectations to have won the league because the squad's got massive holes in it.
Yeah.
And Daniel, what do you think? Forget what KJ should think. What do you think?
Man United Football Club should have expectations to win the league. And the reason why I got onto KJ is because he's trying to pose a question or create a debate off of the back of what Louis says when his opinion has nothing to do with what Louis is saying. His opinion is based on the fact that Oli is in charge. I like that. It's not even a lie. It's what you said on the streams that we were on.
I kind of get that, Daniel. So let me ask you the question: do Man United had a good enough squad and manager to challenge for the Premier League title?
Man United have a good enough squad and manager to win the Premier League. Expectations should be to win the Premier League.
Hang on, but that doesn't make sense, bruv. Like, if the do you
Man
honestly?
United,
No, hang on.
I'm joking.
Okay, right.
I'm joking. It was a joke. Relax. But
You
Man
didn't
United,
tell it like a joke, bro.
my whole point
Was it
has
a
been.
joke?
No, it actually was. My whole point has been Man United have had a good enough squad to win the league. The next step for Oli is to prove that he can win the league, and he can prove it this season. For all we know, look, everyone's saying Oli this, he's drowning, this, and that. You're fourth. You got 14 points. You got the same number of points. Let me check the table quickly. You got the same number of points as Man City. You're 1 point behind Liverpool. You're 2 points behind Chelsea. So, like, all this, Oli is drowning. Yeah, you might not like the football, but the facts state that Oli's not getting sacked anytime soon because you're still in the title race. Yes, you might think, you might think that he's not good enough. Yes, he's had holes in his career where he's got to the Europa League final. Bro, I literally said on a stream we were on, if Oli gets to another final this year, just like for, let's say, a Champions League final, but doesn't win anything again, that's still progress for you. And Oli will still be on the job. It's facts.
So, yeah, so
I don't know. What are you debating? What are you debating?
One sec, bro. So I totally get where you're coming from to a degree with that. And that's your opinion, and you're sort of entitled to it. I think the thing about Oli and people, I'm saying he's drowning, is I see the same problems that have persisted in the last 2 years. The difference is we have more star quality now. The likes of Ronaldo and Varane and Sancho. Look, he was very good when he came on against who did we play at the weekend? Everton. When he came on, did some very good things. He'll find his feet. I'm not going to worry about that at all. We'll win some more points, but it still isn't going to be enough to get to where we want to be with Oli, in my opinion. On Louis' original point, though, because I don't want to let him off the hook for this, he said there that, and again, I get your logic behind this about our recruitment being terrible. Man United have signed some excellent players.
My word was abysmal. Because
terrible
isn't bad enough.
Okay,
okay.
Abysmal's great. What I find interesting about that take is this. Man United under Oli have started to operate with a model which Liverpool use. So I wouldn't say that it's abysmal. I agree with you that a DM would have been perfect this summer. But Man United's number one choices were not available this summer, so they're waiting. That approach is something that all top clubs should do. You don't just fill it with a third or a fourth choice. Or, we can get Ruben Neves for 30, 40 million. Yeah, but he isn't what we want. I don't want my club signing players that are not top of their priority list. Liverpool Football Club have been famed for waiting for their players. When you didn't sign Van Dijk, you didn't go and sign the next best thing. When you didn't get Naby Keita, you didn't go and sign the next best thing. You waited for those players to be available and you bought them. So I understand the logic that Ronaldo over a DM looks bad, but that's fan logic. That isn't how the transfer market operates when operating correctly. It doesn't matter that not buying a DM is frustrating, but then Ronaldo became available. We're waiting. We know who Man United's number one target is in that space, and it is Declan Rice. Whether people like that or not, that's what we're waiting for. There was no way Man United were offering between 80 to 100 million pounds this summer, and they've decided to wait on that deal to move forward. One of the reasons why we've looked at elder statesmen in the striker market and not younger players is because even though you've got Cavani and Ronaldo, it still keeps the door massively open to try and sign the number one target, which is Haaland. So I think for me, to say it's abysmal is a little bit key stage one. It's a little bit too early. It's ignoring the fact that actually, if you twist it in reverse, go, okay, well, should United just sign their third, fourth, fifth choice because Declan Rice wasn't available right now? That would also be ridiculed. So there is still holes within this Manchester United squad. But the point I would say is this: not being able to outplay and perform teams with midfields as weak or weaker than we've already got. That's the problem with Oli. We haven't been schooled by Liverpool or by City or by Chelsea's midfield. We got done in a League Cup game by 47-year-old Mark Noble. That's for me is that's a manager thing. That's a manager thing.
United is not coached well. They're not coached well. It's obvious. I'm the whole thing about McFred, I get that they're not world-class DMs or whatever, and they may not be players that people really like, but the reality is a good manager can get more out of that group and be able to pick and choose when to use his weapons. He doesn't know when to use them. He rests players when he shouldn't. He puts players in positions that they're not comfortable and you don't get optimal from them. And it's just they need a new manager, and it's just so obvious. Like, if you coach up that team, regardless if you have Ndidi in your midfield or not, they do better. Like, I don't understand this. Well, they don't have a DM, so that's the problem is Ollie, and then the bigger issue is the club. Period.
So I think I'm somewhere in between.
Go on, Kobe. Sorry, go on, Kobe.
Because I think I'm somewhere in between. I think somewhere in between sort of what Terry and Louis is saying. Should Solskjaer be doing better with the midfield resources that he has? Yes. I think a lot of the blame does lie at Solskjaer's feet. I think playing Fred and McTominay essentially as defensive midfielders when that's neither strong suit is not the way forward. So, yes, a better manager would do better with the current midfield resources. But would a current manager with these midfield resources win the Premier League? Not for me. I think it's really easy to say we've signed Ronaldo, we've signed Sancho, we've signed Varane. That means we can challenge the Premier League. Just because Manchester United maybe have some really high-end names that look really impressive, it doesn't necessarily mean that all gels together for as good of a team and as good of a system as Chelsea and Manchester City. United have got an embarrassment of riches going forward, but we can't underestimate how important of an area that midfield is, particularly when City have got your Rodri, Gundogan, so forth, Jorginho, Kante at Chelsea.
What about the idea about titles too? Like, Ollie just has to win something. Like, I think
a cup competition is more than realistic.
Yeah, they could win a cup. I mean, if they got really far in the Champions League, I think they could nick it. Like, I think we're focusing too much on the title. Like, the Premier League title is very, very far fetched. Like, probably they probably have a.
No, I personally, I get what everyone's saying. Sorry, Daniel, you go.
No, very quickly, look, I just disagree. This is just nonsense. Now we're giving an excuse. Like, it's absolutely nonsense, bro. They've got a good enough score. I'm tired of hearing United excuse after excuse.
I'm here agreeing with you,
Daniel. By the way, the two Man United fans on here are agreeing with you.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm about to agree with you.
I know, and that's what I'm disagreeing with Kobe. I thought Kobe supported United, to be fair. So, who do you support, mate?
Who do you support?
Arsenal for all my sins.
No wonder it's been so quiet. No wonder it's been so quiet.
I agree with everything Colby says now.
There we go. Yeah.
So do you think like your midfield resources you've got now are good enough to win the Premier League for United?
Well, I'm going to say yes, and the reason why I'm going to say yes. Wait. Individually, you may look at some of them and be like, "Oh, Fred McTominay, like Matic is old, like Pogba is inconsistent, Dan Van der Beek. What can he do?" But I believe with a better manager who has a better structure to play football with, you will get a tune out of a Matic. You get a tune out of Dan Van der Beek. You'll see a better Paul Pogba. I believe that is possible. And that's what it is. And for me, it's like under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that midfield cannot win the Premier League. Under a better manager, it can.
One of the reasons I love Thomas Tuchel is the fact that, listen, I'll say it, don't think Jorginho is great. The system suits him massively. The system suits him tremendously well. And that is part of why Tuchel is so great, is he plays a system that suits the likes of Rudiger, suits the likes of Marcus Alonso, suits the likes of Jorginho. He has transformed that system well. Ollie's not a good enough manager to play a system that suits Fred and McTominay.
Do you feel...
Fred and McTominay on the face of it aren't good enough. Like Everton, you drew. I've got to be honest, I would take Decore and Allen over Fred and McTominay any day of the week. Yeah,
and maybe you would, but if someone said to me now you can buy any midfielder you want, I wouldn't pick those two. That's the point. They're good, but they're still not the level that I want. What I would ask you is this question, though. You just said that I don't want to go off tangent because we've got to go to the Victor page in a moment. What I love about Liverpool fans like you is you'll sit there and say J5 is a system player, but if anybody says that Jordan Henderson or Trent are system players, hang on. You guys are just like, you literally will have a fucking aneurysm.
No, Liverpool's entire team is system. Liverpool's team is a system. Gini Wijnaldum was a very good midfielder. He was a system player. Jordan
Trent
Henderson is a
confirmed.
system player. Trent Alexander-Arnold is the
You
best
said he's
right
not
back in
very
the world
good, though.
at our system. You put Trent in the team.
Being a system player doesn't make you
Wait,
not
yes, I
good,
just
though.
want
I
to
think
hear it.
that's
I just want to hear it. I just want
No,
to hear
hang
it.
on. No, I
Yeah,
agree.
guys, I just want to hear a Liverpool
Whoa.
fan. You said,
Yeah.
you just said all your players are system players. So Mo
Oh.
Salah can't be in no GOAT conversation.
hang on,
He's a
hang on,
system
hang
player. You've done
No,
yourself.
no,
You've done
no.
yourself. So
No.
easy. So easy
No.
on this show.
Listen, my point is all of Liverpool's team perform the way they do because the system suits them. So Mohamed Salah is a fantastic player. He would do well at a PSG or a Real Madrid. But he puts in the numbers he puts in because the Liverpool system enables him to do that. The same with Trent. Trent puts in the numbers because he is not told to defend.
But bro, that's exactly the point that KJ's making.
I agree with KJ.
A better quality manager looks at the holes and the problems that we have, and you create a system to get the best out of the team that you want, or formation. And I think Ollie's limited in that way. Fergie could win. I know he's the greatest ever, but he could win the Premier League with our squad. He won the Premier. Oh,
I'm done.
I don't think you understand how bad your midfield is.
Stop it.
Bro, we won Premier League midfield. Hang on, guys. Sorry. We won a Premier League midfield with Tom Cleverley and Anderson as the backups, with a 40-year-old Ryan Giggs and a 33-year-old Michael Carrick.
Like,
come on.
Hang on. Are you telling me you wouldn't take a 33-year-old Michael Carrick and a 40-year-old Ryan Giggs?
But Louis, what you're doing is you're acting like the only two midfielders we have in the entire squad are Fred and McTominay. They only get picked because Ollie picks them. Another manager may not pick them both. So this whole argument saying, "Oh, your midfield's not good enough." If he decides to pick Matic and Donny, it's a better midfield.
You don't have to have all world-class players in every single position. Again, like, they have enough quality and backup quality to do something with what they have. I know the midfield is the engine and all of that, but he's just not getting the most out of that group. Like, it's just that obvious. Regardless, like
Pogba.
This whole you need a DM. Like, you don't. You have Pogba and Bruno in your midfield.
We get the Pogba's in the midfield. The maddest thing is, sorry, Luke. We've got to move on. Luke. I'm really sorry. But Paul Pogba, people always moan about what's the best position for him. Like, ask Didier Deschamps where he plays him. Do you know what I mean? Like, a quality manager could get Pogba performing in that position. Like, I think it's crazy to me. But viewers, what do you
next to him?
Yeah,
that's the point.
Okay. Listen, again,
you're
taking away from another man. I know what you're doing. You're a Liverpool fan. We can't give any Man United players credit. United fans, if you can buy one CM out of Calvin Phillips or Declan Rice, which would it be? Quick answer: Declan Rice. Swap McFred for KJ and Ice J Fish in the midfield. I don't know who Ice J Fish is.
Don't look him up. This is from Midnight Vibes. We're not doing this again, people. Vibes will see go away.
I missed some other super chats earlier that I've got to do before we move on to the Bet Victor page. The first one came from Thomas, who says, no, I've already read that one. Sorry. Where was I up to? This come from... My God, there's so many. I can't even read them. This come from... I can't read it. It's far too small. I'm trying to get closer. Sasku says you can bring up all the big names: CR7, Messi, Giggs, Salah, blah, 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 blah. There's only one player in the Premier League who has won all the cups. Only Kante has done it. Lamar says, no, he don't. He just has the PFAs from earlier. PFA Player Award, not the Premier League one. A few people saying, Terry, you missed my super chat, so sorry for not putting them up on the screen. I think we've added all the rest. Look at there's one actually here from Hakeem. He says, we look worse defensively with Varane. You are going to tell me that Varane is now average. Said it last night. Hashtag what? Shadow something? I literally don't know.
Shadow Realm again.
Shadow Realm. Sorry. Yeah.
Midnight, again, a Midnight Vibes coming.
Okay, cool. Shadow Realm and something else. Thank you, Hakeem. We've had the other super chat, so thank you. But I want to have a little look here. Some of the other odds that are out today. So one of them is around next manager to go in the Premier League. And what's really interesting about this, and we'll put them up on the screen as well so everybody can see, the change in odds over the course of the last week or so have been massive. Steve Bruce is now the out favourite. Nuno Espirito Santo has now gone to 6-1. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is now 6-1. He's one of the highest favourites now. to lose his job next. This is a man that was 66-1 just 5 weeks ago. He is now being looked at as one of the odds-on favourites. You can see here at 6-1 to lose his job. Anybody, I mean, I put a little flutter on him at 66-1 to be the next manager in the Prem to lose his job, because I thought if he loses a few games, the valuation is going to drop. But at 6-1, Jess, do you think that's quite a good bet on Ollie to go next?
Ollie's not going anywhere, guys. So I wouldn't even mess with that at all. He's not going anywhere.
Not even on after what Fabrizio said, after he spoke to the club, what they said. Do you not think there's a veiled threat in there?
No, not really, because I think he's going to get a couple of, again, you have enough quality where unless they down tools, I don't think they ever would. I just don't see it happening. Not mid-season. I can't
It's
see
happening.
it.
No, it's actually
You
happening.
think so?
No. You know why? It's nothing to do with football now. Remember the last few times everyone thought Ollie was going to get sacked? Everyone thought Ollie would be getting sacked, and he didn't get sacked. Now it's flipped.
So now you're saying
No
it's
one
opposite.
thinks Ollie is getting sacked, so he's getting sacked. You can see it.
As long as he stays in that top four, once everything firms up and y'all in that top four, he ain't going nowhere.
So I hope though, either way, like that for me, if that happens, the Ollie out campaign is dead, and it's if you're not fully Glazer out, then you don't support Manchester United. If the club just acts like being mediocre is fine when you have a squad. And do you know what's interesting? We're speaking about winning the league. At the very least, we should be challenging.
Yeah.
Like I think everybody would agree that we
100%.
should be. And I know right now people say you're 2 points off the top. Yeah, but we can all see with the way Liverpool and City played yesterday, with the defensive solidity of Chelsea, those three teams are ahead of Manchester United. We haven't played a big team yet.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's going to be very, very difficult indeed. But I do disagree with Jess. I'm going to stick a nice little £2 flutter here with Bet Victor on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be the next man to lose his job. The link for this page is in our description below. Please go and sign up now to your free Bet Victor account. If you bet £5 or more, you get a £30 free bet on top. You have to be over the age of 18 to keep this show going. It supports us massively, so go and get signed up to that right now. But there you can see my bet is placed whilst live on the air. That's been done. We have some more super chats here. One from Z. He says, you guys talking like Man United are out of the title race and the season is over, is what G's got to say. United is life. Says, this is on you, Terry. These yesterday boys talking rubbish about our club. Chelsea, Liverpool and Arsenal combined still have less Premier Leagues than us. Don't want to start the North American debate. I mean,
No.
hang on,
North American pundit? What?
Pundit. Sorry, not debate, pundit. I mean, I don't really understand what you're saying. I mean, this is no holds barred. Like, this is no echo chambers. Anyone can say what they want about Man United. The irony in it is, Daniel's kind of backed Man United tonight by saying we're good enough to win the league. That's not really disrespecting us. Louis, listen, like, he's never going to say nothing nice about Manchester United because he's a stereotypical woolen Liverpool fan. Do you know what I mean? He's trying so hard to get the indigenous Scousers to love him. He'll just say nasty things about Man United.
I'm FSG in. Believe me, I'm not trying to get the Liverpool fans.
FSG in, that's true. Terry, where do you find these Liverpool fans? Do you have an asylum contract, bruv? The madness they speak. Manash says the term you're looking for when star players are slotted into positions and it doesn't work is called star counting, coined by NBA analysis Ben Taylor. Cool. I didn't know that, but thank you very much for that super chat, my friend. Really appreciate it massively. In terms of what I did want to kind of touch on as well, I know we've touched on Ronaldo, we've touched on that. In terms of the Premier League itself and the kind of title race, people, like, how has anyone's minds changed around who the favourites are and where this can go?
What's wrong with KJ?
I've just seen a tweet.
Oh, the feeling thing.
What?
Yeah. Sorry.
Wait, what happened?
The
good old
assistant
Mike.
coach just got a new contract.
Yeah, you see it. Kevin, you see what I'm laughing?
Wait, what does that mean?
So yeah, just quickly. So it says here, assistant manager Mike Phelan's extended his contract until 2024 with Man United. Another message from the club and board that they're backing the manager and his staff. Now, I'm going to quote tweet this now. And honestly, if Ollie out, I'm going to say it now and then tweet it. The Ollie out campaign is dead. It's Glazer out. All of these, like, you can say Ollie out until you're blue in the face, but if the club owners are backing him, it's them you have to focus on. Every Man United fan who's renewed their season ticket, shame on you if you're moaning about this. Anyone who's bought a new kit, shame on you. Anyone who's bought a lunchbox, any merchandise, shame on you. Anybody that's using any of the sponsors' products, shame on you. If the Glazers don't care enough and you're backing them, you are a Glazer. You are one of them. You are funding. People go, they're backing mediocrity. You're funding it. You're funding it. Be like me and cut the snake's head off. If you love your club, pull your money away. You don't love the club enough. You don't love the club enough. Everyone who renewed their season ticket, shame on you.
I gave you Ronaldo, and this is how you're treating them, man.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, nah, listen. You man out there with your moments and your FAGs and your crying, yeah, bun you all. Screw those pagans, brother. I'm tired.
The funny thing is, I'll give it to Terry, though. I've never actually seen you in the United chat for all the years or time I've been on the show.
Because I stopped. When I made the conscious decision, it was 2 or 3 years ago, I decided I'm not doing it anymore. And it isn't, I'm not a politically charged person. I do a lot of things politically, but privately. I don't like people that pump it down people's noses. I'm not an activist. I'll never go to a protest in my life. There's just things I don't enjoy. Mainly because I look at most protests, both football-based and political, and think 80% of people are there for the Instagram. I think it's pseudo-moralistic stances people take. All the time. I saw it when the Glazer protest was happening. There's people like in front of the police, like, wait, it's like, why are you looking happy to be there? You should be angry. If you're at a protest, why are you happy? No one should be happy at a protest. They are not good places. You're there because you're aggrieved. Man smiling for the gram. Fuck my boots. It does my brain in. It does my brain in. But listen, anybody now that goes to that stadium, you are funding the Glazers' mediocrity. You actually are the problem. You're the problem because the Glazers won't put their own money in. Cut every penny away from Manchester United tomorrow. They change their. I'm going to rant if I keep going. Anyway,
how do I get a ticket to go to Old Trafford? We must fund this a little bit more.
If you want to spend more money on Man United than you do your own club, be my guest because I got nothing to do with me.
Disclaimer that obviously Bet Victor, great sponsors, they need to refresh their system now because obviously that 6-1 needs to go up.
But I said that, and then Terry was like, "Oh, I'm going to go against you." Remember,
its way up.
I'm right.
Yeah. But that's before the information that also it's been like an hour since it's been out, but like we just seen it, bro. So, I've been telling you about these Glazers, fam. I've been telling you about.
But Terry was asking if our opinions had kind of changed on the. I
think I've been the most consistent.
Who's gonna win?
Title. Look, at the end of the day,
I don't want to flip flop now. I'm the biggest flip flop.
Snow, wind, autumn, spring, summer. Like I've said from the jump, I've said it already that I believe Chelsea win the league. Look, the thing is, I will always,
Didn't you say they were going to go unbeaten?
No.
Yeah, you did. No, didn't you? Yeah, you did.
God knows I've never said that. I'm not nice. I'm probably, I think, the most methodical guy. I said it from the jump that we would win the league, and the reason why I said that is because personally, look, I just do think we have the most informed manager. I'm not saying he's the best. I'm not saying he's greater than Pep or Klopp. I just think he's informed. Everything he does right now works for him. When he does make a mistake, when he corrects it, it goes right for him. The players he got a tune out of Ross Barkley. Like we bought Saul to be our fourth choice midfielder. Ross Barkley was the one he turned to on the bench, played a fantastic ball into Azpilicueta. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is looking like 2018 one. People forgot he had a serious injury. A lot of people wrote him off. A lot of Chelsea fans wrote him off. And I think it was fair because we thought we wouldn't see. I didn't write off Ruben. You can't, just because I'm positive about my team, you can't just say, I swear you were part of the people who said
No. I'm just wondering.
I think you said unbeaten, though. I think you did say that.
I'm just wondering, bro. I'm just wondering. I've never seen you.
Check the tape.
Daniel, I have to full disclosure here. Daniel was texting me for 2 weeks going, bro, can you speak to the people at Bet Victor so they can make the odds for it, bro? I need to put my money on it. Like, he was begging for them odds. That's a joke. That's a joke. He didn't do that.
But no, like, in all honesty, look, I just think with Chelsea, like, for example, there's going to be weeks where it happens. I got dragged last week. You take it on the chin, do you know what I mean? But I honestly believe that our team is just successful. What we managed to do, what we are able to do in certain situations. People are talking about Liverpool Man City being one of the games of the season. I think Chelsea, Liverpool at Anfield before the red card had the potential to do that as well. Like it was that good of a game. There were a number of openings in that game as well. And what again, defensive system. When Chelsea are on top when people are saying we play defensive football, 7 defenders. We've got the second highest goals in the league and we're not conceding. We've got the least goals conceded. So he's carried on that defensive solidity. We were able to bring in Trevor Chalobah, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Callum Hudson-Odoi finally playing in the 10 position. Timo Werner started his first game in the league, I believe it was, against Southampton. And we balled out. Like, till... Obviously, there was the penalty situation, but Chilwell then scored a fantastic goal to cap for great performance, bar the penalty he gave away. I just think we're that good right now, being the champions of Europe and everything. And I just think, look, I'm backing my team to the end, man. I honestly believe we'll win the league.
As much as it pains me, I think I'm in the Chelsea camp with that as well. Yeah. I think it's not saying anything new, but I think Man City's number 9 problem will catch them out. I think Man City will dominate every single game they play, but won't necessarily outscore their opposition in every single game they play. I think that was evident in some ways against Liverpool. It was only really when Sterling came on and played a bit more centrally that, they were a bit more pointed. Liverpool, I think Liverpool and Man City will be really close behind them. Don't get me wrong. Just think, well, I'm a bit wary about Liverpool. Is there only ever an injury to a very key player?
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that. They're going to come. They're going to be in your DMs.
I better run away, hide now. Is this what happens?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Especially because you're Arsenal.
But I don't think they have the same squad depth as Chelsea and Man City. I think we'd all agree that starting 11 that Liverpool have very much.
AFCON is the key. That's all I've said. I've always
2 games. 2 games.
They have to get past January. Like, if they can get, I think the longer the season goes and Liverpool is able to keep their team fit, the longer I'll kind of be like, okay, you can kind of push them up the table a little bit more. And they look really, really good. I think maybe the thing that I misjudged was maybe the Manchester United thing, but it was kind of just trying to get, sorry guys, for you guys to kind of like push and say that you guys were like really good.
Yeah, exactly. We all knew that was what's happening, bro. We can see through it.
But it's still, to me, it's still Chelsea. I think the wind is blowing in their direction. I think they have the best manager on form right now, like Daniel's already said. Enough squad depth, and so I would say something around there, and it'll be somewhere between
more love, man, more love,
and Manchester United somewhere. But it's going to be close. Like, I still don't think teams are going to run away with it.
Yeah.
I think people were like, "Oh, the two are going to run away with it."
What I will say, I don't think it's 4 teams in the title race anymore. It's only 3 now. Like,
it's so early. How are you saying this?
I'm saying this because I can see. I've got eyes. I can see what's happening at my club. That is why.
Do you know what's interesting though about the title race stuff and everything that's being said? Like, I still have Chelsea as my favourites. I agree. Man City, even though they played again brilliant football yesterday and they did score 2 goals. One was a heavy deflection. They just, with a gunman, with Harry Kane in the team yesterday, they could have been 2 or 3-0 up in that first half. They played brilliant football. So I think that might bite them in the backside. But my prediction around Man United will always come back to haunt me with how we're playing. And I'm fine with that because it's just the internet. Even when I write, I get abused. So it doesn't really matter. But Ollie's judge is still there, It's 2 weekends running where we've dropped points. But then the results of other teams have kind of kept us there or thereabouts. Like, I know that, so it's like we literally got 1 point out of a possible 6, but we're still only 2 points off the top when we were like level on points. So we've dropped points 2 games running, and it's only
look at the league table now though. Like, it's so
but that's not my point. The point is this is what's happened to Ollie every single season that he's at 4 seasons. It's like he can go through bad runs, but other teams, because of their problems, have kind of let him off the hook a little bit, and that's why I've always felt like whether it's top 4, whether it's even a title race. It just, if the only way Ollie remains in it is if none of Chelsea, Liverpool or City hit that one of those big consistent runs that we all expect one of them, if not 2 of them to do, where they win a kind of 8, 9, 10 games on the bounce or something along those lines. Ollie won't be able to keep up with that. I don't think he's ever won in his permanent time as a manager more than 4 games on the bounce in the Premier League. If any of those teams put a run together like that, there's no way Ollie's going to be able to repeat that with his Manchester United squad. But that's where I say I felt like you might have done something, because I looked at all the other teams and thought, they've all got their holes. Could they all hit a problem where they all hit the inconsistencies as well and create an issue? But look, I still make Chelsea favourites. They're just too hard to beat. And I know they lost 2 games on the bounce, one in the Prem, one in the Champions League, but they played City and they played Juve. They got this tactics wrong against City. But what I loved about Tuchel, the next game back, I know it's an easier team, but he made a change and he went for a different way, and boom, he goes and wins. And a top-class manager. So he's their first now for me. I would put Man City in second place, Liverpool in third place. I'm still saying Man United are making the top 4 with or without Ole. I think our squad is too good to fall out of the top 4. And that's not no disrespect to Liverpool. That's just, I think, in terms of squad depth will play a part. However, right now, Liverpool are the best team in the... Yeah, but of course you love it, but it's a fair opinion.
No. Oh, believe me, I want you all to have that opinion.
I think it's not about...
You man love the Disney story, brother.
Yeah, you want to be...
We do.
And by the way, let me just hang on. Let me just
caveat. Got the title of the documentary for when we win the league this year.
And let's just caveat it. If you do win, it's not an underdog story. None of the big 6 are underdogs when you spend what we spend on players and salaries. None of us are no, we're not. Don't come in here with that Pixar DreamWorks bullshit.
I agree, but where's that energy when you all are saying Liverpool? There's no way they can compete when they don't make transfers.
No, that isn't what people say. Everybody knows if your squad stays fit all season, you can win the league. But it's more likely that you get injuries than don't. So people are giving. So people, when you give predictions should be based on what you think is more likely to happen, not if everything goes perfect for Liverpool. If everything goes perfect for Man United this year, we could win the league. That means none of you guys find consistent form. If that would help us maybe win the league, but that's unlikely to happen unless you're Ollie with his judge. So that's all I'm saying, bruv. Is like the likelihood that you go through the season without injuries is mad, and you have had injuries already.
Yeah, I agree.
And since Thiago's been missing. Is that 2 games now?
Yes.
You ain't won a game. So imagine 2 or 3 more. Like it's not a bad take, bruv.
Okay. Sure.
Louis, I just want to know.
Listen.
Louis,
yeah, go on then.
I don't know.
Louis, I just want to know though. Do you think that in the Premier League era, Salah is your greatest ever player?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
All right, cool.
I always told you. I always said Louis
that.
speaks facts on here. Louis always speaks facts on the terrace.
I love that.
Say that. Hang on a sec. Say that again. Ask him that question again, please, Daniel.
Oh god.
So, Louis, who is Liverpool's greatest Premier League player? Premier League player, and why, please? We want explanations.
Mohamed Salah for me. It's him and Gerrard number 1 and 2. I just put Salah up there because of what he's achieved. In the league, the records he's broken.
Just clarify that. Because of what? Because of what?
The leagues he's won.
I just want to hear it clearly. Like,
Steven Gerrard didn't win a Premier League. Thank you.
Okay.
Did he not? I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Listen, it's difficult, and I understand Liverpool fans. Listen, the fact that I'm not a Scouser, probably Liverpool fans will crap on me for this opinion because Steven Gerrard's a Scouser. I get it, but if you look at things objectively, the numbers that Salah's put up, what he's achieved for Liverpool in the Premier League, the way he's performed, the records he's broken, for me, he is the Liverpool's best ever player in the Premier League era.
Who's Liverpool's greatest ever Premier League captain?
Jordan Henderson.
Yes!
Really?
Hang on, guys. I get accused of doing this on the terrace quite a bit. I did feel like we bullied him a little bit there. We've got to be very careful. Peer pressure.
No. The only reason I struggle with both is because I know the crap I'm going to get for it.
Yeah, but it don't matter that.
That reflects more on the Liverpool fan base than you. That's what I'm going to say.
Than you, I would say. We've got a super chat from Z. Says, watch Man United finish above Chelsea. This overhyping of Chelsea. Oh my God. These lot are a cup team. I said it already. Wouldn't be surprised if they win the Champions League.
What? Did he cuss us and then compliment us?
Yes. Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if Man United win the next 3 games against Liverpool, Leicester and City. Ollie has more lives than a cat.
They're done, bro. They're done. They're done.
Yeah, but you say that, but that's when people say things like Gal makes a really good point. Our next running is hard, but the point is with Ollie, it's every time it's like, this running is going to kill Ollie. He comes up trumps, and this is what I mean. When you give predictions, a lot of people give predictions with what they want to happen and not what's probable. Ollie's in people history. Ollie's history is that he comes through these bad runs. There's a part of me that wants to see him not come through it to see what the Glazers do, if I'm being absolutely honest. But we will see. In terms of a little flutter before we go, though, I am looking at Premier League winners. Has anyone changed their mind on who's going to win it?
No, Chelsea are going to win it.
Me a little bit.
So who have you now said?
I think.
You think Liverpool are going to win it, don't you?
No.
Oh. You know what? You think, man?
Hang on. I wrote you off, and you said you're happy with writing you off, but you're.
No.
Right.
I think. Listen, earlier.
That doesn't make sense.
Earlier, I was like, it's clearly going to be Liverpool. Like at the beginning of the season. I just think City start slow, and they haven't started slow this year, and that's scary. And the depth they have is scary, and the ability in their squad is scary, but they don't have a striker. Chelsea are good. I honestly can't call it. It could go to either three. And
stop having splinters, bro. Stop with the splinters.
No. Honestly, I'm gonna happily sit on the fence here because anyone that says I'm gonna happily sit on the fence here because anyone that says, "Oh, I know 100% know what's gonna happen," no one knows. Like, no one knows.
Here's where you're going to say Manchester United after all of this.
By the way, bro, Louis, I just need to let you know there are Liverpool fans in the comments section saying that you are worse than Sonny for what you just said about Mo Salah. You're worse than Sonny, according to some Liverpool fans.
What that is, it's being realistic. It's being realistic. When you look at it.
Oh, it's fine.
Liverpool fans, look how stressed you've got your fellow fans.
I don't get that. I'm not stressed. I'm just baffled that you can't take a little bit of bias and understandable bias out of a situation and look at things objectively.
Do you know what it is?
It's a disservice to Mohamed Salah because then you have a go at people when they don't give him the credit he deserves, when you don't give him the credit he deserves.
But what Liverpool fans are now experiencing for the first time in a while is where you've got a new generation experiencing the best results you've had in 30 years. There are younger Liverpool fans that are going to have an affinity with the Salahs and the Hendersons and the Van Dijks more than the Carraghers and the Gerrards and these people because you didn't see them win. I was talking to an Arsenal fan a little while ago. He's only a young lad. He was only like 3 years old when the Invincibles happened. He respects all the players that were part of that, but he doesn't love them in the same way as players that are coming through now, and you can't do that. Equally, Gerrard, I was saying the other day, Liverpool fans have convinced me that we have to take emotion out of GOAT debates because I spoke to a few born and bred Scousers and they said, we will never, ever, no matter what happens, like Mo Salah could outperform Messi for 10 years and we would still say Gerrard's our greatest ever player. That for me is the proof in the pudding that the emotion has to be taken out of it and we have to debate football opinion and facts together rather than he's one of us so we're always going to vote him. That's not a good enough reason to be the greatest ever player. So that's why a lot of people will attack it because it's you're going against the status quo. But
and also it's the fact that the non-Scouser discrediting the Scouser. That's the real reason. They'll be like, oh, you live.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I think if you look at things objectively, and as you say, you take emotion out of it. You take the fairy tale story of Gerrard being the local lad from Liverpool who pulled, let's be honest, a crap team to greats. And listen, if Salah was playing in that 05, 06 team, 07 team, 08 team, and Gerrard was playing in this team, the conversation might be different. But you look at the context. For me, Mohamed Salah, and not even for me, Mohamed Salah has achieved more objectively in the Premier League than Steven Gerrard did.
It's factual. I'm gonna stick a little cheeky flutter on here though. I quite like the odds on Liverpool, and they've been playing quite well. Although they're not my pick, when I have a little flutter, it's about making money as opposed to going with my heart. Really, I'm gonna go with a little gut feeling. Liverpool might pull something off. 4-1 ain't bad odds either. So I'm gonna stick it in there. I'm gonna stick a little £2, a little £2 bet there on Liverpool to win the league. They're at 4-1. It's not bad odds. Little £10 return if it comes in. To wait till the end of the season for that. I've got a lot of bets that are coming in at the end of the season. I think I've bet now on every team to win the league, so I'll win one, which is pretty good. So that is done and that is dusted. I want to say before the end of the stream as well, a big RIP and sending out love to Chig, of course, who big Arsenal fan, featured heavily on Lee Gunner's channel on his own over the years, who very sadly passed away last night. So I just want to send out my heartfelt condolences to his family and his friends. Horrible news that he has gone. So RIP to Chig. Sorry. Really, really sad news indeed for anyone that sort of watched him and everything else. You know who he is. You watch Lee Gunner's channel. You've definitely seen him a good number of times. So really, really sad news about him as well. Everyone that's tuned in, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Make sure you smash that like button, please, before you leave. Subscribe to the Football Terrace and get yourself signed up to your free Bet Victor account. The links for that are in our description below. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again.